And now in the south of the continent, voting authorities in Lesotho have said they incorrectly allocated parliamentary seats after an October 7 election, asking the country's top court to reverse the allocations and halt the legislature's first sitting, court papers showed on Saturday. In Lesotho's National Assembly, 80 seats are won through first-past-the-post voting, with the rest allocated using proportional representation, under which parties get seats based on their total national vote. On Saturday, the court papers showed the Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, asked the Constitutional Court for an order reviewing, correcting, and setting aside the allocation of compensatory seats or those allocated using proportional representation. It said the Democratic Congress Party had erroneously been awarded 11 compensatory seats instead of 8, while the Alliance of Democrats was wrongly allocated 3 compensatory seats instead of 2. It was not immediately clear whether the issue would affect the coalition government's majority. And joining us on the news is Silence Charumbira, Deputy Editor Lesotho Times, to shed more light on this development. You're welcome, Silence.
Thank you so much.
Now, the IEC says it made a mistake in allocation of seats. Can you tell us what the situation is right now? Also, what did the court say about this latest erroneous development?
The situation is pretty much that the IEC has to wait for the court to pronounce itself. Unfortunately for the legislators or incoming legislators, so to say, the courts have said that the court has said it will only rule on the matter on the 28th. But there is a bit of a quandary here because the swearing in of the new legislators is supposed to be done tomorrow, which is the 25th. So now the court he hasn't said anything to stop the swearing in of MPs, but what the National Assembly must determine on its own is whether or not to swear in the legislators who had benefited from this mistaken allocation of seats, or rather wait for new ones to be determined by the court.
So then how are the political parties responding to this error?
I hear one of the parties has launched an urgent application in the courts. We are yet to get the papers from there, but one of the parties, one of the small parties, is MPs tomorrow, but we will only know as time progresses what becomes of that. But the rest, I was speaking to the IEC director earlier today. The rest of the parties were not really, didn't have a problem with what has happened. Some of the parties that are affected, like the Democratic Congress, is reportedly from the beneficiaries. For that, once they get into parliament, they want those MPs that are going to have parliamentary work. So it's only one party that I've heard that's going to court over the matter.
All right, Silence, we get to engage you more, but then let's just pause for a while on your response and take this particular excerpt from the IEC director on the matter.
Let's also be mindful that the issue of calculation of PR, it's something that every citizen in the comfort of their own room could actually do and calculate. And our calculations at the IEC tied in exactly with what everybody had actually computed to be the right PR seat allocation. But lo and behold, all of us actually missed that aspect of the formula because it was brought about by this new notion which we had never actually had to reckon or deal with before. So that unfortunately brought about this unfortunate reality. And as the IEC, notwithstanding the fact that nobody had picked this up on our own accord, and I want to underscore that, on our own accord, we brought this to the fore and said, no, we will even go a step further to actually petition ourselves in court to ensure that that particular error is rectified. We even approached the people, the two political parties who would actually be prejudiced by this particular recalibration, if you like. And we showed them the numbers don't lie, and they walked away very happy that no, everything is above board. There was no ill will or malice intended, and for that reason, we are grateful to them.
Well, Silence, if you can hear me, I want to believe that you also listened to the excerpt from the IEC director. He is saying that what happened is not totally their fault, that it's a whole new process that they are trying to get into and get accustomed with. Would you say that his response exonerates him from any kind of error that occurred during the process?
Well, you cannot say he's exonerating himself. I think what he's simply alluding to, although not so clearly, is the challenges that the IEC, the operational challenges that the IEC has been facing. One of the issues that he raised today was that instead of about 360 million rands that that the IEC needed to run these elections, they got about hamstringing the IEC right now. So there are a lot of operational challenges. But he does acknowledge that they made a mistake.
Okay.
And also, interestingly, he says everyone in all the parties have the formula of calculating, and they are the ones who ended up noting this mistake and coming forth to say we made a mistake. So I suppose he wants the world to understand that they are an honest commission, so to say.
All right, thank you so much, Silence, for joining this discussion.